Hello, everyone. This is James McDaniels here on week 3 of the NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour. I am your host, and we have got another great half an hour show on tap for you guys today. So we've got a lot of stories to talk about in the NBA this week, and I'm telling you, not all of them are serious. In fact, we've got some really weird stories that happened in the NBA over the past week, to be quite honest with you. So I can't wait to tell those odd stories to you guys. The NASCAR season is nearing very close now. This will be the last weekend that NASCAR fans will have to wait for their NASCAR for the 2013 season, because next weekend on Saturday, the Sprint Unlimited will kick off the NASCAR season. And of course, the Sprint Unlimited is what used to be the Budweiser Shootout. And then 2 weeks from now, Sunday, February 24th, 2013, is the 2013 running of the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. And of course, that is like the Super Bowl in NASCAR. And it will kick off what should be another great season in NASCAR. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but there's not much to NASCAR right now because we're still waiting one more week until we can finally see it. So I'm going to talk a lot about NBA in this broadcast and barely any NASCAR. And then we got some very interesting out of NBA and NASCAR stuff to also talk about. So we've got a lot of fill in this half an hour, so let's get right down to it, shall we? So, the first thing I want to talk about is the Lakers. Now, I've talked about them the first 2 times that I've done this broadcast, and it's been a different story every time. The first time was basically the down run on how bad the Lakers season was. Last week, I had basically a turn of opinion because the Lakers had won 4 of their last 5 games, and Kobe Bryant was actually starting to pass the ball a very good amount. But not very good news for LA this time around, because Pau Gasol. Now, of course, I talked about him in my first week about how he was taking so many threes. Yeah, well, we're not threes, but perimeter shots. He was not doing his post game as much as he's been accustomed to in so many previous seasons, due to Mike D'Antoni's way he forms the offense. But Pau Gasol, word is now he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks due to a problem, or should I say a tear, in his right foot. Not a very good injury, and 6 to 8 weeks, if you think about it, the NBA season is only about, what, just over 2 months away from being done until you get to the playoffs. And so, basically, if the Lakers don't make the playoffs this season, which has a lot of Lakers fans worried, because usually when you think Lakers and playoffs, Lakers are pretty much a given. But this season, it's very questionable if the Lakers will make the playoffs. And now that Pau Gasol is injured and will be out pretty much the remainder of the regular season, it seems to me that the Lakers are, kind of in deep trouble, because Howard's not playing that great as a center, and then you lose Pau Gasol, so you don't got a lot of the rebounders on the team. Now, of course, you've still got a lot of other rebounders out there that can rebound on the Lakers, but Pau Gasol and Dwight Howard, those were the main guys, and they just haven't been showing up. And now that Pau Gasol is out completely until pretty much the end of the regular season, Lakers, that's pretty much the worst thing that could happen to them. I mean, last week they were on a roll. Kobe Bryant was passing and stuff like that. Now Pau Gasol is out. So, 6 to 8 weeks out for Pau Gasol, and kind of a pretty big loss to the Lakers. I mean, he was doing pretty well for them. He was averaging about 13 and a half points a game, and he was also averaging 8 rebounds per game. So, pretty much a good rebounder and a guy that can make points, and now he's out. So, Lakers, they just lost Pau Gasol 6 to 8 weeks due to a tear in his right foot. So, nothing really is very for sure in Lakerland right now. So let's move off that, and let's go off to just up north to Sacramento, or maybe even Seattle if you want to say. The Seattle group that officially bought the Sacramento Kings has now officially filed for relocation with the NBA. The deadline was March 1st, but it's like, why wait? I mean, we've already got the team sold to this group, so might as well file for relocation. Why wait for the March 1st deadline? So anyway, this is another step to move the Sacramento Kings from Sacramento to Seattle. And I forgot to mention 2 weeks ago in my very first broadcast that when I was talking about this, that Seattle, that the Kings or Sonics, because they'll become the Sonics if they move to Seattle, they would not be playing in Key Arena for that long. They would play in it for like the first few seasons they move up there, and then they'd move into this new arena that, as soon as the team is secure and an environmental report is complete, then the new arena in Seattle will be built. But part of that plan when the arena deal passed was that it would not start getting built unless an environmental study was done, which it's currently being done, and a team was secured, was what they said. So Seattle Group's trying to secure the Sacramento Kings right now. They're very close to doing it now that they filed for relocation. So now the relocation split will go to the NBA. The NBA will review it. And then come April at the NBA Board and Governors meeting, they will vote on whether the Kings will move to Seattle or stay in Sacramento. Now, as for Sacramento, as for their part of it, and the fans and the mayor and stuff like that, the Sacramento Kings mayor, Kevin Johnson, he has yet to come out with his plan with the whale buyers, i.e., quote, whale buyers to buy the Kings. He's already came up with $20 million in individual, in individual people that want to purchase the Kings for like one part of the Kings for like $1 million here, $1 million there. He got like 20 people to do that, so that's like $20 million. But of course, they still need to come up with another $405 million. So now they have these whales, like Ron Burkle and a few other people that he's trying to get to put up large sums of money to get a good counteroffer for Sacramento Kings. Now the Kings alone, I can tell you right now, as a Kings fan, the Kings are not worth $525 million, especially like they are now. But that's what the Seattle group thinks that they need to pay in order to get the team. Now, if the deal was to go through, then this would be the largest sale in NBA history. The largest sale in NBA history was done 2 years ago to the Golden State Warriors, but the Sacramento Kings one, it outdoes it by not just a few million, but it does it between it beats it by a very good margin. Let's say that. So $525 million is what they would pay for the Kings to Seattle group. But if the Kings were to make a counteroffer, it's reported that the Kings would offer, or the city of Sacramento and the whale buyers would offer $425 million. Now it's like, well, why the heck would they pay $525 million and then the whale buyers in Sacramento come up with $425 million? That's still $100 million you're going to be getting if you go to Seattle. So it's like, why not just take the one that's going to give you more money? Well, here's the reason why. Because when you move in the NBA charges a fee that's called a relocation fee. And it's not a very small fee. It's a $100 million fee just to move a team to another city. So that's why Sacramento, if they were to come up with something, or the Whales, I should say, would come up with something and get $425 million, the reason they're $100 million less is because if the Kings stay in Sacramento, which is what would happen if they bought them, then they wouldn't have to pay that $100 million relocation fee. Therefore, they can do an offer that's $100 million less and then still come up with the same kind of an outcome net. Or at least the Moose would come out with the same net. Whether each city they go to, they would come out with the same net pricing. There we go. So, I gotta just say though that the city of Sacramento has really been on the down end of this, because the Kings themselves, they've not been doing too good this season. But on the other hand, the fans, they organized something called a Here We Buy campaign. They've got millions of dollars in promises, I guess you could say, that they pay to see the Kings if they were to stay in Sacramento and got a new owner. So I mean, they even showed that last night against the Utah Jazz. It was called Here We Buy Night, and during Jazz free throws and before the beginning of tip-off of the game, the Kings fans would start different chants, such as Sacramento, and they'd also do stuff like Here We Stay, and they had a few other ones too that they would chant just at Jazz free throws and before tip-off. So, I mean, it shows you really just how the fans just came together. I mean, it was a near capacity crowd, and the Kings were able to use that to their advantage. I mean, they won the game against the Jazz by not it was close, but the Kings got a pretty short win. They won 120 to 109, and the Jazz, they're a team that actually had a winning record. So the Kings to beat a team that had a winning record at home on a night like that is pretty special. And the Kings players themselves did pretty special. I mean, there were 6 Kings players. Get that, 6 Kings players that scored in double figures, and there were 3 players that scored over 20 points in that game. And the Kings themselves, they actually did quite well just overall. I mean, let's see, they had 27 assists, they had 44 rebounds in total, and they had a field goal percentage of nearly 52%. And then, of course, it all comes out to 120 points was the final for the Sacramento Kings. So if they could just play like that every game, they'd win. But that's easier said than done. But they used that to their advantage. The Kings were able to come in. The fans gave them a show. They gave the fans a show, and the fans showed the Kings just how much they love them with the Here We Buy chants and everything. Really just showed you how much the city of Sacramento cares about their team, and what a heartbreak it would be if the Kings turned out to leave after 25 plus years in the city of Sacramento. So that's basically the update on the Kings and the relocation. Bottom line, Seattle Group has filed for relocation, and only the next step that's pretty much preventing them from moving to Seattle now, the Sacramento Kings, would be a vote on the NBA Board of Governors in April. And as for Mayor Kevin Johnson, he has yet to announce his whale buyers, but it is presumed that he will announce them within the coming days, so we'll keep our eye on that. So, after talking about the Lakers and the Kings, let's go a little bit more east, out to Colorado, where the Denver Nuggets, wow, I mean, just wow. Getting any winning streak in the NBA of pretty much over 4 or 5 games is pretty impressive. But the Nuggets, let's see, they've won 9 straight. I'm not joking you. They have won 9 straight, if you can believe that. Their coach and that team is working so good together right now. I mean, it's really something special to watch. I mean, when you're passing the ball around and you've got a team that is really, playing with one another, that's doing really well together, then, I mean, you're going to win ball games. I mean, the Nuggets themselves, they got their last game against the Cleveland Cavaliers to extend their winning streak to 9 games. They had 23 assists, 46 rebounds, and they tallied 111 points. And not only that, but every person who was out there on the floor that night, with the exception of one, scored in double figures. And if you want to know how many people that is, that's 8 people. 8 people scored in double figures in that game between the Nuggets and the Cavaliers for the Nuggets. And then when you got a field goal percentage of at least 50% like they did that night, then that's just pretty much, I mean, you're just going to win ball games if you do that. I mean, I don't know if you can get any better than that. Of course, the turnovers could have used some work in that game for the Nuggets. They did turn the ball over 20 times, so that could use some work. But overall, the Nuggets, they're a pretty dominant team, and you better watch out because, I mean, the Nuggets, when one of those games that they won as part of this 9-game winning streak right now was against the Sacramento Kings, and I remember them playing the Kings, and it was not a very good-looking sight when they played the Sacramento Kings. It was almost like a complete blowout, it seemed. So, I mean, you look at the Nuggets, they're just rolling, they're just really rolling away right now, and there's nothing that's really gonna stop them. They've got no teams in their way. They've they beat pretty much any kind of team you can think of. I mean, they even beat the Thunder as part of this road trip, or not road trip, but their winning streak. They beat the Thunder. They beat the Rockets. They beat the Kings. They beat Indiana. They beat Houston yet again. Then they beat New Orleans. Then Milwaukee. Then Chicago. Then Cleveland. That is their last 9 games that they've all won, and they're looking very good. And they've scored over 100 points in every single one of those games. Every single one of those games, they've scored over 100 points. And they've only went to overtime once, and that was to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder to begin their big old winning streak. So, Nuggets, you better watch out. They're very good. They're on a roll right now. They know what to do. Their offense is running great. They've beat some good teams. They've also beat some bad teams. They've won on the road. They've won at home. They're pretty much unbeatable right now. So, if you're Boston, Toronto, the Nets, I'd say watch out. I mean, you guys are the next 3 guys that the Nuggets are going to be playing, and even though the Nuggets are going to be on the road, they've proven they can win on the road, and they've already won against Cleveland to start the road trip, so they're already off to a good start. So those guys better be prepared, because the Nuggets, 9 straight wins, they're going to be coming, and I wouldn't be too surprised if the Nuggets just if they continue the streak. I'm not going to be too surprised, because whenever I see the Nuggets, they're playing really good. They are just an overall very good basketball team. So that's my take on that. Denver Nuggets just dominating right now, and they're playing beautiful basketball, and we'll see how long this winning streak can go. It's already to 9. Can they make it more? We will soon see in the near coming days as they finish out a 4-game road trip versus Boston, Toronto, and Brooklyn on the road back east. So, with all that taken care of, let's go to the interesting stories I was talking to you about. Now that we've gone past all the hardcore stories about the Lakers and the Kings and the Nuggets, let's get to the very interesting stories of this week. Alright, so remember last week I was talking to you guys about Allen Iverson coming back, and of course we all remember Allen Iverson as a Sixer and possibly making a comeback, about him playing in Turkey and stuff like that. But now, look at this. This guy used to make millions. Allen Iverson has officially lost his Atlanta mansion in a foreclosure auction. That's right, you heard me right. Allen Iverson just lost his Atlanta mansion in a foreclosure auction. An NBA player having a foreclosure on his home? Are you kidding me? The guy makes millions and millions of dollars. So it's like, I don't know how he could possibly lose his home. Obviously not. He obviously didn't choose very good financial decisions. But still, that's really just crazy. An NBA player like Allen Iverson loses his home in a foreclosure auction. Unbelievable. So that's what's the latest on Allen Iverson. The latest craze on Allen Iverson. Lost his home. Can't wait to see what another weird thing will happen to him if he comes back to the NBA. So let's see here. The next thing that was really weird. When you go to an NBA game, you usually don't see NBA players making air balls. You usually see them either missing or making. And if they miss, they usually miss, with very close. They hit the iron, they hit the backboard, and then hit the iron and something else. It usually hits the iron. But you usually don't shoot air balls. And when you do, it usually is just about one, or usually it's at the free throw line, or it's just a really bad shot. Well, take a look at this guy. This guy on the Brooklyn Nets, Mirza Teletovic. He airballed 3 straight shots in a row. Can you believe that? An NBA player airballing not 1, not 2, but 3 airballs in a row against the Detroit Pistons. Now, I can admit that he may have been a little bit tired. I mean, it was the 4th quarter. But the commentators were still amazed that an NBA player could even do that. I mean, even one of them was saying, 3 air balls in a row, is that a record of some kind? And I wouldn't be too surprised of it. I mean, the NBA doesn't tally how many air balls you get a game. They only tally how many missed shots you make. I mean, missed shots that you miss. Whether it's missed by an iron, missed by an inch, or missed completely. Of course, we've all seen a lot of airball free throws, but I don't think we've ever seen three consecutive airballs from the field, because these are all from the field. So, I think that's a really weird story too, because if you're an NBA player, you're expected to at least make it close, and this guy wasn't even close on three consecutive shots in a game against the Detroit Pistons. So, very interesting story there. We'll see if he can get back online in the next few games and see if he can start hitting the rim or hitting the net again, just inside the net, not outside the net. So that's another interesting story there. Three consecutive air balls in a row for Brooklyn Nets player Mirza Teletovic against the Detroit Pistons not too long ago. And also, speaking about the 76ers, not only Alvin Iverson is making the news, but some Philadelphia fans are making the news, if you can believe that. Of course, we all know StubHub. StubHub is like the home for cheap tickets for pretty much any event you want to say. Usually, fans will downgrade the tickets, and you can find tickets at actually for seats at a lot lesser than what you would find on, say, Ticketmaster or something like that. So it's like, okay, what's so special about this fan? Well, I'll tell you this. This guy went on StubHub and he bought 18 tickets to the 76ers Pacers game. Now, how much do you think he paid? Okay, I think he paid maybe, $5, $6 maybe each for a ticket, maybe even 2 or 3 for a ticket. How about this? He paid 72 cents total for 18 tickets to a 76ers Pacers NBA basketball game. You heard me right. The fan bought 18 tickets for 72 cents total to a 76ers Pacers NBA game. Now, I understand, I could understand if this was maybe in Detroit, not to make anybody in Detroit mad, but it just seems like anytime I go to, or anytime I see a Detroit game, there always seems to be a ton of empty seats in that big old arena. It just seems to me like even when the Pistons were doing so well back in 2004 and stuff like that, I could still see probably a good number of seats that were still missed even when your team was doing very, very well. So, I mean, the 76ers, they're doing better than what the Kings are doing. I mean, they're just 5 games south of 500 instead of, so many games back, say, as the Kings or Toronto or something. I mean, they're not very far below 500. And even in the East, that's still not very good. I mean, even below 500 will usually get you in the playoffs in the East. Well, and in the West, you kind of usually have to be about 10 games above 500 to make the playoffs. But even that, Sixers fans are just, I don't know why they'd be upset with their team. But, I mean, with the record that they've got, I mean, they definitely don't have the best offense around. Their offense really needs to do some work. And they have had they have actually had some injuries to some of their top players. So 76ers pretty much going all downhill, but they're still maintaining a almost 500 record. And so it really shocked me that there was this fan that seriously gave away 18 tickets to the game for 72 cents completely. 72 cents in total for 18 tickets. I still cannot believe that. I mean, it seriously is a shocker. Do you know how many cents that is a ticket? That's 4 cents a ticket. 4 cents a ticket. I don't know how much the guy lost on this sale. I mean, obviously, if you went on Ticketmaster and you bought them off Ticketmaster, those tickets would probably be worth, I don't know, they'd probably be worth maybe $10, $15 at the worst. I mean, I've never been at a Sixers arena. I only know what Arco arenas or Sleep Train arenas prices are, but I'm assuming that they'd be at least between $10 and $15 for those tickets, and the guy sold them for 72 cents total. I mean, that's still a very big shocker to me. Now, of course, because it's StubHub and they have to make the money somehow, there was a money for shipping and there was a service fee, so it came out to be a little bit over $10. So for the guy, but that's pretty a steal for a deal. just over $10 for 18 tickets to an NBA game. Still unbelievable. Still can't believe it. And I'm telling you, if I could get a deal like that for pretty much 4 cents a ticket, I would take it in a heartbeat. Because you just can't get any better deal than that. 4 cents a ticket. Wow. So maybe the NBA will start learning, hey, maybe we should make our prices cheaper, so then maybe we'll get some more fans to come, because now the NBA is starting to charge their fans so much for the tickets that fans aren't going to be coming to the games because they're too expensive. And then if they're too expensive and the team's not good, then that's just throwing you in a hole you're just not going to get out of. So it doesn't surprise me that the fan wanted to give away the tickets to 76ers, because they are not playing their best, even though they're playing a lot better than some NBA teams. But still, 72 cents in total for 18 tickets. I can't believe it. So that's another interesting story I came across during this week. So I've been on this broadcast about 26 minutes now, so we're about 4 minutes away from getting to the end of this broadcast. So I'm not going to do a minute of other sports. I'm going to do about 4 minutes of other sports, because I don't know if you guys watched the game last night between Louisville and Notre Dame. Oh man, you missed a very good one. I actually didn't see it, but I watched the highlights of it. It is one of the most epic games ever, because let's see. They had to go to overtime because they tied at the end of regulation. Okay, we'll play in overtime. They're tied at the end of the first overtime. All right, we'll go to a second overtime, and we'll definitely get a winner there. No, we don't have a winner after the second overtime, so it's like, so then people are starting to get tired and falling asleep. Let's go to a third overtime. Third overtime, still no avail. What the heck? Are we gonna go forever here? Fourth overtime. What the heck? We're very close. Oh my gosh, we're tied again. Let's go to a fifth overtime. And Notre Dame, at home, they won by 3 points, 104 to 101, in a 5 overtime college basketball game over Louisville. Can you believe that? 5 overtimes, setting a record for that conference. 5 overtimes. That is just unbelievable, because you have these teams that are really tired, at the end of maybe regulation 1 overtime. They had to play another 4 overtimes before they could finally get it down. And if Notre Dame, I'm telling you, if Notre Dame does not receive a lot of credit for beating, because both teams were ranked, but Louisville was ranked a little bit better than Notre Dame. If Notre Dame does not see probably at least a 4 or 6 position jump after having to get a win like this over a better ranked team, then I don't know what's wrong with our ranking system, because no normal team can go 5 overtimes and still be able to come out with a win when you've got another ranked team that's coming on you. I mean, either way, whichever team would have won, it would have been pretty much the biggest, best win you could ever feel. And if you're Louisville, I just cannot feel how emotional that had been, to lose such a game like that, where you played so hard for every single second of that game, and then you come away with a 3-point loss after regulation and 5 overtimes. It's just unbelievable. I mean, ESPN, pretty big deal about it, and that was pretty much the best thing ever. And then the Super Bowl, wow, Kaepernick did good, Flacco did good. The defense has kind of struggled a little bit, and it was a very off and on game, power outage, pretty much every kind of weird thing you could say. I mean, pretty much a dominated first half for the Ravens, and they capped it off at the beginning of the second half with that big old 108-yard TD kickoff return run. But then the Niners came back. It looks like they actually might take the win, steal it away, and they just couldn't come back with it and end up losing. 34-31, Ravens win Super Bowl 47. So, this has been the NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour. And next week, definitely we'll have a lot of talk about the Sprint Unlimited. And I cannot wait for this NASCAR season. Great week in the NBA with all those weird stories and the Lakers, the Kings, and the Nuggets. Can't wait to see if the Nuggets can continue their streak. See what happens if the Kings are able to have a counteroffer from Mayor Kevin Johnson P. announce it. It'll be interesting to see how the Lakers do without Pau Gasol, and then we'll keep tack on all these other weird stories and see if we can get any more odd stories just like them. So for now, this is James McDaniel signing off from the NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour. I will see you next week for another half hour full of NBA and especially NASCAR for next week. So can't wait to see you then. Signing off. Goodbye.